What is Australia's most popular four-wheel drive? And I mean full four-wheel drive, not those namby-pamby all-wheel drive things. Now, this is Toyota Prado. For over 10 years, this version of Prado has been carrying people and their bits and bobs to far-flung corners of the planet. But conditions in Australia have been grim for the retail market over the last few years. It's down 8.1% over this time last year, and the passenger segment is hit particularly badly. But of the top 10 sellers, Toyota is number 1. This particular car is number 10. Interestingly, of the top 10 best sellers in Australia, 6 of them are SUVs or pickups. Prado has 4 models: GX, GXL, VX and Kakadu. Our car is the second to bottom GXL, but that doesn't mean it's poverty-stricken. Old-fashioned perhaps, but not poverty-stricken. All are powered by the same reliable 2.8 4-cylinder turbo diesel with 450 newton meters of torque, so 130 kilowatts and 450 newton meters of torque. All cars have a 6-speed automatic, but in the base model you can get a 6-speed manual if that's your thing. Over that 10 years, Prado has been given various updates. It was given these bi-LED headlights, a new grille, and this. You can see that this is solid. I'll see if I can get in closer. You can see that that's solid, and that means behind there is a radar for the radar-assisted cruise control. It also uses a camera up here in the windscreen. Also part of Toyota's sensing, they use LiDAR, which is that fancy laser system. Who'd have thought in a humble Toyota? Although this is $59,000 for the manual, you've got to add $3,000 for the automatic and probably another $3,000 for on roads. If you're going to get the top model, the Kakadu, that is $84,000 plus on roads. Blimey, you're going to want a lot of car for $84,000. And still, it doesn't have bloody Carplay. What the GXL does have though are these 17-inch wheels. And the 17-inch wheels you can see have very high sidewalls. And what that means is that gives you extra cushioning off-road. And the suspension, can you see that? That is fairly tough stuff. You can see this car has done not a lot in the way of off-roading. In fact, none at all. This car misses out on blind spot monitoring, which is a bit of a shame. The top model gets it, of course. For another 25 grand, I'd expect it. We also have keyless entry and start, so there's a push button inside to start it and some little grooves here on the top of the handle to lock the door. You unlock it by putting your hand inside. All Prados have 7 seats, but there is a 5-seat version in the base model. And unusually for a car like this tailgate isn't hinged. Well, it is hinged, but not at the top. There are lock and unlock buttons just here, and the door handle is just here. So pull that, and it opens like so. But it's got a party trick. It's just here, and the hatch opens. And that's so that you can put your Coles bits and bobs in there without having to go to all of the trouble of opening this, especially if someone's parked really close. But you can only have this option if you go for the flat tailgate, and the flat tailgate is the one without the spare tyre here. The spare tyre in this car is underneath and you access it from under the car. But that brings up a problem. When you move the wheel from here to underneath, it takes the place of the 63-litre auxiliary tank, leaving just the 87-litre main tank. But this car with 7 litres per 100 kilometres on the highway would still comfortably do a trip, probably with 7 people, from Sydney to Brisbane or Sydney to Melbourne. With 7-seaters, the interior is always a bit of a mixed bag. I've put just one of these back seats up so that you can see just how much space is left. There's only a strip of about, I don't know, maybe 20 centimetres here to put some bags and bits and bobs in. And the seats are a bit complex to unfold too. You've got to pull it up but then pull the bottom out from underneath. Getting into the back seat means you've got to lift this lever, slide the seat forward, and then you've got to try and get into that space, which is quite small. And then to get the seat back into place, you simply push it back like so. It does adjust with a little bar underneath so that you can use this just like you would a front seat. You'll notice here I've taken out the luggage cover, which would normally sit over the back of the bits and bobs that you've got in the boot. The seats are fairly comfortable, and of course they've got adjustable headrests which you can put down when you're not using them. The front seats are a bit of a different kettle of fish. There's plenty of room and they're incredibly comfortable. There's lumbar adjustment, seat back and forward, and seat bottom back and forward, all with these buttons on the side. But there are no memory positions. The doors have the usual buttons: window lock, door lock and unlock, and the 4 window controls. This is a nice soft sort of neoprene-y sort of fabric, but I don't know, it just all looks a little bit cheap. There are plenty of cup holders all over the place. There's also cup holders in the back, rear air conditioning, and rather handily, there's even a household outlet, so you could plug a little fridge in there or whatever, up to 100 watts worth of use. But this cabin, although it's completely functional, it does need a rethink. This, for example, looks a little bit old. The metallized plastic, this sort of grey plastic, which looks a bit cheap, but you know, look, it is still very functional. There's fixed buttons down the side of the screen, and it is of course a touch screen. Down below is a little cubby hole, and this in the Kakadu is where the crawl controls go. Below that are the off-roading controls and cup holders, the 6-speed automatic selector, and then behind that the controls for the heating and cooling of the 2 front seats. Behind that is another 12-volt power outlet and USBs. There's also a little spot here for your mobile phone. It's got a clever centre bin. Unlock the top bit and it's just a little spot for papers or licenses or passports or whatever. Open the bottom one and the whole lot opens. And this is a really deep bin. In the bottom, you'll see there's a switch, and that puts air conditioning into this bin so that you could, for example, keep your drinks cool on a trip. But in the top 2 models, this is refrigerated, so it will actually keep them not just cool, but frosty. Instruments are all clearly laid out, and the steering wheel is leather clad. There's the usual Toyota buttons, the lane warning control, and this is the distance control for the active cruise control. On the other side there are buttons to answer the phone, the voice control button, and the mode. The difference between this and an all-wheel drive, as I've said, is that this car has low-range gears. And that's something no all-wheel drive has. They just don't. And the reason they don't do that is because they're not real off-roading cars, much as they pretend to be. So the good thing about a Japanese car is that the indicators are on the right side. As you know, I like my indicators on the correct side. This 2.8 is not what I would call sprightly, but it is still definitely very, very capable. Steering. That can be best described as approximate. The big floaty tyres and the floaty suspension make driving a pleasant experience, but in order to get that travel, that suspension travel, it is very soft. It's now doing, at just a shade under 80, 1200 RPM. No wonder it gets 7.0 litres per 100 kilometres on the highway. Its bigger cousin, the full-size LandCruiser, is called the King of the Road. If that's the King of the Road, then this is probably the Queen of the Road. Perfect car for me. You sit very, very high. The reversing camera is wide angle, and you can park this thing with pinpoint accuracy. Now that car in front has just stopped. Oh dear, we've just struck traffic. Prado has now slowed down to 58, 56, 55, This is a Sunday afternoon in Sydney, people. But interestingly, this radar doesn't go right down to nothing. It doesn't have Q assist. So that got down to about 30 kilometers an hour and it switched off, which I personally find a little bit annoying. I'll put a link below to the LandCruiser that we tested recently, as well as the full specs for this car. It does have a lot of stuff in it, but by not spending the extra money buying the Kakadu, the top model, you do miss out on a lot of really cool things. The crawl is particularly brilliant. Do yourself a favor, jump onto Google's and Google's yourself a YouTube video of a LandCruiser in the desert, in the Sahara, digging itself out of sand. It's amazing. It's up to its axles in sand. Put the crawl control on and it just seems to lift itself up. Even without that, I feel like this thing could probably do it. It is so capable. Now that we've stopped, I'll tell you about our brand new rating system. There are 10 criteria and we rate each out of 10 in 10 criteria. Add it all up and you get a score. I'll put that in the story as well, but this car got 49 out of 100. So that's about average. As always, hit just there to subscribe.